Hey, good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Can we give a big hand to our online campus and our first-time guests this morning? Man, we are so glad you're here. I hope when you leave this place, you can say it was good for me to be in the house of God. A couple of things I want to remind you just from the announcements this morning is that if you haven't got your young person registered for the Impact Student Conference, please do that. Take care of that so that we can make sure that we have enough stuff going on. But most importantly, that we get your young person there so that they can leave different than the way they came. Come on, somebody. And we want to make sure to get all of our young people. I wish my church would have done stuff like that for me when I was young. Maybe I would have never got strung out on drugs. Like, I think about stuff like that. But there was nothing ever fun that happened at my church. I knew all about hell. I can tell you anything you want to know about him. Like, my pastor drove from hell every Sunday to preach at our church. That's like it was like, okay, thanks, man. I got it down. And so that, and then please take advantage of the Financial Peace University. It's already paid for, won't cost you anything. The worship center has paid all of that. So take advantage of that, man. You can go to twclubbock.com. You can get signed up. You can get all your digital stuff, everything you need to start Financial Peace University so that you can start your new year different than the way our last year was. Come on, man, right? I don't know about you, but man, I don't want to be broke, busted, and disgusted the rest of my life. But if I always do what I've always done, I'll always be where I've always been. So if I want something to be different, then I'm going to have to be the difference maker. Come on, right? And put a little bit of effort. So it won't cost you anything if you want to do it with a group. We're going to be doing it in here on Wednesday night, starting the second week of January. The first week, we always do Encounter. So the second week in January, we'll be kicking that off. We'll be groups that you can talk about right here in the sanctuary. Be here, be a part of that. So let's get into this, man. I already sweated through my jacket this morning. I am fired up about this message. And so I look so cute this morning. I mean, I look really, really cute. And then I sweated through that whole thing, and it is just nasty, nasty, nasty back there right now. And somebody hugged me a while ago, and they were like, oh, my God. And I was like, sorry, fat boy, hot environment, right? What are you going to do? I tell you all the time, but she did notice that I did smell like bacon. She goes, Pastor, you smell like bacon. Is that your cologne? I said, no, it's just me fat, you know. So last week, we talked about take your turn, and we talked about how to live your life in your season. Not a past season, not a future season, but living in your right now. Somebody say right now. Living in your right now season, and not in somebody else's season. In your season. And if you don't live in your season, watch me, if you don't live in your season and you don't seize the strengths from that season, you may actually miss the moments when God tries to call your name. If you're trying to live in somebody else's season, you may miss the moment when God reaches out to you. Galatians chapter 6 says this, make a careful exploration of who you are and the work you've been given, and then sink yourself into what God's given you. Let me stop right there and say this. Instead of seeking after something that's not yours, I want everybody watching online or everybody that attends the worship center, I want you to seek God in a way where he can show you what's yours, and then you sink yourself into that, and you can reap a harvest that only you can reap. Come on. I don't want somebody else's blessing. I want my blessing. How many say amen to that? Amen. Then it goes on, and I love this. Don't be impressed with yourself. Don't compare yourself with other people. Each of you must take responsibility for doing the creative best you can with your own life. Now, what does it mean to do the creative best with your own life? That statement is in perfect sync with what we talked about last week. I really believe that comparison is what kills contentment in our life more than anything else. When we're comparing our marriage to somebody else's marriage, we're comparing where we live to somebody else's house, what they drive to what we drive, their financial bracket to our financial bracket. And when you're constantly comparing yourself to others, you will never be content with what God's already given you. And you may not think that you have a whole lot, but can I tell you, you have a whole lot more than what a lot of people already got. So instead of being upset about what I don't have, maybe I ought to blessing God for what I do. Thank you, God, for what I do have, because I don't know about you, but I was able to brush my teeth with my left or my right hand this morning. I was able to run a brush. No, I don't even brush my hair. I'm just kidding. I was able to decide if I was going to drive my car in my garage or the one parked out in my driveway. I had more than one choice of shirts that I would wear today. I may not have everything that I want, but I am blessed to have everything that I need. Come on, somebody. I hope you catch that. And so if you're in a habit of comparing your life to other people's life, you need to stop. Stop it. And if you're going to be content with where God's placed you. So that's last week's review. Let me get in today. And we've had amazing altar calls at all of our services this morning. And I want you to know, if this is your first time here, we give altar calls every week. That is normal. That is something we do. We expect people to encounter Jesus when they come. And the church said, amen. We want you to be a part of this. And so it says, don't be misled. No one makes a fool of God. What a person plants, he will harvest. Now watch this. The person who plants selfishness, ignoring the needs of others, ignoring God, they're going to harvest a crop of weeds. All he'll have to show for his life is weeds. Think about that statement. But the one who plants in response to God, letting God's Spirit do the growth work in him, harvest a crop of real life, eternal life. So let's not allow ourselves to get fatigued doing good at the right time. Somebody say right time. At the right time, we will harvest a good crop if we don't quit, if we don't give up, and we don't give out. Right now, therefore, every time we get a chance, how many times? Every time we get a chance, let us work for the benefit of all, starting with the people closest to us in the community of faith. You know who the community of faith is? Look to your left, look to your right. Those people sit next to you, that's your community of faith. You ought to be doing your best to help the one another that's sitting on your row. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, I got you. Now look at the ones your second choice, say, I got you too, even though I didn't pick you first, you know. They're going to have a hard time believing that y'all hurt somebody's feelings already. Now, Paul is using the analogy in verse 9 of sowing and reaping. And he says, don't get fatigued, don't get tired doing the right thing. Don't get wore out doing the right thing. At the right time, we're going to harvest a good crop if we don't quit. If we don't give up. Remember in Ecclesiastes last week, Solomon said there's a time for everything and a season for everything under heaven. A time to sow, a time to reap, a time to plant, and a time to uproot. And Paul is using the same agriculture analogy that life is all about sowing and reaping. Or let me say it this way. Life is all about seed time and harvest. You know what stinks about that formula, Cody? The time. Anybody with me? The time is what's it. Because what I want to do is I want to seed and I want to harvest. Anybody with me? I want to seed, I want to harvest. I want to drop it and pick it up. I want to plant it and I want to pluck it by 5. I didn't get out of bed till noon, but I want to plant it at noon, pluck it by 5, right? And it gets aggravating. Because there's this time in the middle, and God knew that we were going to struggle with that time in the middle, and he says, you can't grow weary while you're doing well, because if you get tired, you're going to miss the moment, and you won't recognize it, and you won't have the strength to respond, and you won't harvest when it's time to harvest. Come on, man. You won't have the strength. If you let yourself go down in a bad time, you won't have the strength to go out in the good time to pick up what God has for you. So I can't let my bad times dictate my life. Gretchen Rubin says in her book, The Happiness Project, and she's talking about raising kids, but I think it's applicable to us this morning. And it says, I realize that the days are long, but the years are short. Don't you find that to be true with your kids? Moses prayed in Psalms, and I know some of y'all didn't even know Moses wrote some of Psalms, but he prayed in Psalms. Psalms 90, verse 12, and Moses said, teach us to number our days, that we may gain a heart of wisdom. When he says that, he certainly doesn't mean teach us how many days we have left so that we can get things right. That would be a dumb thing to pray. Why? Because no man knows the hour when the Son of Man returns. So he wouldn't tell us to pray that, but it would be cool to have a countdown clock. of how many days do I have left. My question is, if you knew how many days you had left on this earth, what would you be doing different than you're doing right now? And if you say, I would be doing something different, then I'm asking you, why aren't you already doing that? Why are you waiting to start doing it? Why aren't you living in your now rather than living in your then? You're not hearing me. If you're not doing it now, you probably wouldn't do it then. That may offend you, that may upset you, but the truth is, if you're not motivated to do it now, you really wouldn't motivated to do that. What you would probably do is wait till your last day to make everything right with Jesus. That's human nature. Human nature says, man, I'm gonna smoke this and I'm gonna blow smoke in his face and I'm gonna walk into heaven. Are y'all here this morning? I already knocked the shot at you. I'm just barely getting started. What he says, man, is hang in there. He's teaching us how to correctly number our days. Teach us how to count what matters so that I can make the most out of the time that I have. And I think that's the question that most of us want to know today is teach me how to keep what matters the most so I can make the most out of the time that I have. How many of you are here this morning are iPhone users? Let me see your hand. What I'm asking is how many of you are Christians? Because if you don't have an iPhone, you're not going to heaven. I'm just. Somebody said Apple's what got us in trouble the first place, Pastor Todd. But a few years ago, several years ago, they had this update on the iOS, and I think they'll show you on the OS, and it was on the camera roll, and you could click on one picture, but then if you kind of zoom in or zoom out, it takes you to a place now on your phone called Moments, and in those moments you can see pictures. Like for me, I had a lot of pictures when Hunter was playing football. You know, I'm taking pictures of this and pictures of that. Or when I go on mission trips, I'll be like in Nicaragua or Prague and Czech Republic or Israel. Man, I'm taking all the pictures when I'm in Israel, right? And it was so important. But then if you click again, it goes to something called a collection. Right? And now it gives the ranges of my life. Like it can say from November 1st till November 24th, these are the pictures you took. Are you tracking with me if you're an iPhone user? And it'll show you all that. And what happens though, when you do that is the pictures get a little bit smaller than they were before. But if you click it again, it'll show you the whole year. See this? It'll show you the whole year, if not multiple years, on one screen. Are you seeing that? Are you following with me? And here's what's crazy about that is each one of those moments, while I was in the moment, was so important to me that I had to capture it. I had to remember what was so amazing. But when you get to the years, everything that I thought that was worth taking a picture of all goes on one screen. My entire year, maybe 2 years, all now fit on a screen this big. Track with me, and it gets reduced to thumbnails. Everything I did is reduced to a thumbnail. That's everything that I thought was worth documenting in my life for that year is now on one screen. It's crazy how that perspective changes everything you experience. And if you could zoom out on your life, you would see that you're in a moment. It's just a moment. Somebody say a moment. It's just a moment, and it can often feel in certain moments that moment is never going to end, that it's going to last forever, that you're going to feel this way forever, or you're never going to be able to get through this. It hurts so much, but when you zoom out to over the whole year, you can't even find that picture in that moment. You're not hearing me. You can't even see that. It hurts so much, but you can't see it. You look through these years, and I'm trying to tell you, we need to live in such a way where I keep the perspective that it's not how I start, it's how I end, that I hear, well done, thou good and faithful servant, enter into the rest, because the days are long, but the years are short, and you're going to look back over seasons of your life, and I have older people tell me all the time, hey, this thing goes faster than you think. Life is faster than you think. I woke up today, I'm 52 years old, and I know what you're thinking. Man, you look good. You ain't wrong. But yesterday, it seems like, Lance, like yesterday, it seems I was 16 or 18, riding my motorcycle down the hall at Lubbock Christian High School. I'm the only one that's ever done that. If y'all ever heard somebody rode their motorcycle down the hall at the Christian school, it's your pastor. Just tell them that's my pastor right there. I'm proud of him. That's the best 5 licks I ever got in my life right there. I just sign me up. And I called my daddy. It made me call my daddy. I said, Daddy, they made me call you. What'd you call for? Dad, have you ever done something stupid? And my dad's exact words were like, oh, God. And he said, define stupid, Todd. And I said, I don't know, like, you ever rode a motorcycle down the hall at school? And he goes, dear God. And I said, Dad, but it's worth it. He said, what are they going to do? I said, they want me to give 5 licks, but they wanted me to tell you about it. Are you mad? I'm actually kind of impressed. This is my dad. You only got 5 licks for that? And then he's like, is it worth it? I said, oh, yeah, it's worth it. He goes, okay, have a good day. But if it would have been a call that I'd been disrespectful to my teachers, boy, I'd have been spending the night at somebody else's house for the rest of my life. I don't ever go home with that. But at 52, I'm starting to understand a little bit because I pastored people, and people in my own life have experienced lost with people that left this earth way too early. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? You wonder why did they have to go? And so what I want to learn because of that is how to get the most out of every moment. Maybe you do as well. I don't think, when we go to the funeral, same with me. I go to the funeral and I'm with my loved ones at the funeral. And hi, Marty, how are you today? You look really cute today. You're welcome. She's married to my cousin. She's my cousin. And the only time I see her is on Sunday. Watch this, though. Isn't it terrible? We'll go to a funeral, and what do we say at the funeral? Oh, we got to get together more than this. We shouldn't wait for the tragedy to happen in order for all of us to get together. Am I wrong? And then what do? Josh, we make promises. Hey, we're going to do better this year, and I'm going to call you, and we're going to do this, and we're going to hook up, and we're going to hook up. And what happens? We don't do it until the next tragedy. I'm just saying, isn't it sad that my cousin just walked in front of this stage, and I only see her on Sunday? Don't miss what I'm trying to say. I have her, Bryce's dad, my first cousin. He works all the time, so I see him less than that. You know where the majority of the time I see him at? He lives in Lubbock when somebody in our family dies. And I see him at the... I'm just saying, I don't think that we're making the most of the moments that we have. Am I making sense to everybody? So that when we go to the funeral, we're like, man, I wish I would have called them more. I wish I would have dropped by the house more. I wish I would have done this. And why are you waiting for the funeral when they're in front of you right now? Why don't you call now? Why don't you make the visit now? Why don't you go? Somebody help me preach this. Why don't you go make the most out of the moment now? Why don't you just call somebody that you know that they're offended with you or you're offended with them, and quit worrying about what's right and do what's right and just say, look, I'm sorry. I want you back in my life. I don't know how many moments we got left. I don't want to watch you on the news tonight and find out that you passed away and I missed my moment to make things right because I was worried about being right. It's dumb things that we do, man. It's just dumb. Like, we get stuck on stupid. I'm not going to move. Well, it's hard to move when they're in a box. I don't know how many people I talk to that leave funerals all the time with regrets. And I'm telling you, you ought to live your life in such a way that you don't have any regrets. Make sure that everybody in your life knows that you love them. Make sure that you're not arguing about something that doesn't matter. Who cares? Is it really going to change your life that much just to say, you know what, I really don't care. I just want you in my life. So I want to talk to you really quickly. Let me hurry up. If you don't take notes, write this down. If you do take notes, write this down. You'll catch that. But I want to give you 2 Greek words in Scripture that are translated as times and season in our English translation. Now, I want to teach you these 2 words because there's a meaning behind these 2 words. And here's the first one I want to give you. Chronos. And chronos means chronological or sequential time or just commonly known as clock time. Can we do that? Just clock time. And the second Greek word for time is as important too. And if you catch this message, I promise you, this will be a message that'll keep you shouting till next Sunday, not just through Monday. A hangover can last 24 hours. I want you to leave here with something that lasts you 7 days. Would it be okay if you left here shouting the next Sunday, you still shouting over what you learned today? Amen. So watch this. Here's the second word. The second Greek word is called Kairos. And it means in Scripture, usually, not exclusively, but most of the time when you see this word in Scripture, it means the right moment or the opportune time. It's different from Chronos. Chronos is just clock time. Kairos is right time. Everybody tracking? If you don't track, you'll miss this. Let me show you what Kairos is. Kairos is Romans chapter 5. Is Mike Ringel in here? You texted me while I'm preaching? This man can just text me I look like a cholo dressed up for Easter. Well, elbows out, side to side. Let me turn this off so that heathen don't mess with me no more. His wife's up there going, Jesus, 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 Jesus. It's okay. I won't say your name out loud, Brittany. And so Romans chapter 5, verse 6 says, you see, at just the right time, when we were still powerless, Christ died for the ungodly, right? The right time. That's a Kairos moment. Chronos is quantitative, and it's measured by minutes, and everybody in here has the same amount of chronos every day. Every one of us has 1,440 minutes every day. The most productive person you know in the whole world has 1,440 minutes every day. A person that doesn't get anything done, that wastes their time, wasted 1,440 minutes. We all have the same time. It's called Chronos. Kairos is a special time. It's a time when God shows up in a remarkable way. It's the right time. It's a supreme moment. It's moments where God breaks through. How many of you would like to have some more Kairos time where you can be like Jacob and say, surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. Everywhere I go, that God is with me. So I taught you some Greek. Let me teach you some Christianese. Because people go to church and they talk about things in church, you don't have no idea what they're talking about. You ever meet those Christians? You're like, what does that even mean? And they're like, you know, it was a God moment. It was a God moment. God moment. And you say to them, how you doing? It's God is good. And what you say? All the time. God is good all the time. And then when you get them people, them women, like we got a pink conference. And they're having their God moment. They'll start crying. And when they start crying, their blinkers come off. And it depends on what side of Lubbock, how long your blinkers are. If you grew up on the east side of Lubbock, them mugs all the way out here. I mean, then you got that mascara like right here. Now, like we don't know if you Chinese or Hispanic. We don't know. We white girls too. I ain't through with all of y'all. This is an equal opportunity church. Black folk, I'm coming. Hold on. But they got no. They wake up like Rudolph's girlfriend on Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Just happy all the time. What are you doing today? I don't know. What are you doing? If you don't know what I'm talking about, come to the Pink Conference on Saturday when it's over. We'll be sweeping up people's lives in there. I mean, what God didn't give them, Maybelline did. And they're like, that's Jesus, yes. They walk out of here like this, where your other one, girl? It was a God moment. They up at Cracker Barrel on Sundays. Well, we had a God moment. I'm just saying. How y'all doing today? It's good to see people saying, wow. So a while ago, I said that in the second service. A while ago, I was walking people out. Some of the girls was like, don't look at me. I said, girl, don't be embarrassed. Go talk to my wife. She over there like, good morning. God bless you all. Let me hurry before I get divorced. Anyway, but we're always talking about God moments, and those are very memorable. I wonder, can you look back and can you remember a Kairos moment when you got the right word at the right time? And you're like, what are you talking about, Pastor Todd? Where you was just having one of those days where hell was just beating you up, and all of a sudden somebody sent you a text with a scripture to encourage you. They didn't even know what you was going through, or you opened up your email, and on your email somebody said, I just wanted to drop you a word of encouragement. I don't know what you're going through. I don't know what you're facing, but this word is for you. Can I tell you, they really didn't know what you were going through, but God does, and he kind of watches you, and he knows what's going on. And sometimes he'll just blow your mind, and you will pray something, and God will answer your prayer down to the smallest detail. When we had Possess the Gates, we had Charles Perry and Carl Tepper here, and we prayed over them, and Carl was running for office, and Pastor Trish went to his fundraising event, and she wrote him a check for $88. And he called us that night, and he said, Trish, that's a weird number. Like, why not like 20 or 50 or 100 or 1,000? I said, well, first of all, we ain't got 1,000, bro. You can stop that right there. When you got to 100, you have more faith than I did right there. So she said, $88. She said, why? And she said, that's 88 means something to you. It's attached to you. I'm doing a prophetic act, and I'm writing this check for $88 because God's gonna move on you. Last Tuesday, we got a picture from Carl sitting in his new chair up in Austin in the house getting ready to do his thing. And he texts Pastor Trish, and he said, I just wanted to let you know that I've been assigned to the 88th legislator. I'm just telling you, God will sometimes give you a word down to the very detail, and you may not know what it means in the moment, but that moment may catch up to you a little bit later. And sometimes God is what I call fashionably late to me. I think, why couldn't you already be here? Why couldn't you hurry? You ever talk to God about what time he should, the person that created time, and you telling him he's late? Like you got one of them clocks like Flavor Flav, and you're like, and you're telling the one that created time you're late, but I live in Chronos, and God lives in Kairos. Is it clicking for you yet? Kind of starting to make sense now why things don't happen when I think they should happen, because God is waiting for the right time, and we really don't know the right time because we don't understand time. Here's what I'm thinking, though, that maybe that phrase God moment might do more harm than it does good. And you're like, why? I'm like this, because if I was God, and I realize I'm nowhere near close to him, but if I were and I heard the phrase, that phrase God moment might frustrate me a little bit. Why? Because I created time. So if you said, oh, it was a God moment, maybe I would appreciate the sentiment, but maybe I'm thinking God is like, oh, so now I only have moments with you. That's all I got. You've reduced me down to whatever moment it is. And there are moments when I'm allowed to do something cool, and if something good goes your way, then that's a God moment. But if it don't happen like you think it should, then it's not a God moment. That's good to know. I think God said, that's good. No. So how can I schedule one of these moments? And listen, I'm not making fun. I've said it too. But when you wake up in the morning and you walk into a world where he said to the darkness, let there be light, and light was, and he called it day, and the darkness he called night, and it was evening and morning, and that was into the first day. See, God made days, and then he set them into weeks, and then he multiplied them into years. And one day you will have to look over those years and give an account of of what you did on God's time. And I guarantee you that God won't just talk about the moments when there was a rainbow or a unicorn or something that was cool. All time is God time. Let me say it a little bit clearer. I believe that every moment has the potential to be a God moment if you want to find God in the moment that you're living in. But it's up to you. One of the most frustrating things as a preacher is when you see something in the spirit realm and you don't know how to articulate it properly. This is this message. I'm trying to get this message out the best way that I know how, and it's frustrating for me this morning because I live in tick-tock, 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 tick-tock. And what I found out that living life is mostly sowing and rarely reaping. And that's why Paul had to tell us, hey man, don't wear out doing good things. You don't have to tell somebody not to wear out if it's always going to be good. Don't give up. You don't got to tell somebody not to give up if it's going to come to pass like this. But it's almost like God knew, like he knew that we were going to go in a struggle. And God said, don't grow weary while doing well. Why, Todd? Watch this. I'm going somewhere with this. Eugene Peterson wrote a commentary about these verses. And he says, acts of faith aren't like pebbles dropped in a pool and they make a few temporary ripples and then they sink to the bottom inert. He said they are seeds planted to the soil of life and they will come up one day and the harvest is inevitable. I don't know who I'm preaching to, but you better hear these words. I don't know when it's going to come break forth, but I can tell you that the harvest is inevitable. Then he says, don't be misled. Nobody makes a fool of God. We read it. What a person plants, he will harvest. Watch what he says are seeds. Decisions are seeds. Oh my God. Attitudes are seeds. Acts are seeds. Prayers are seed. Thoughts are seed. And all of that is going to come back a harvest. So if you're sowing a bad attitude, you're going to reap a bad attitude. If you're sowing bad thoughts, you are going to reap bad thoughts. You're not hearing me. If you're sowing bad acts, you're going to reap bad acts. The person, though, who looks for quick results from planting seeds will be disappointed. Why? If I want potatoes tomorrow, it will do me little good to go out and plant potatoes in my garden tonight. But, watch this, long stretches of darkness and invisibility and silence separate the planting from the reaping. Long stretches, don't miss this, of darkness and invisibility and silence separate the reaping or the sowing from the reaping. Seed, time, harvest. Seed, Chronos, harvest, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, first week, second week, third week, fourth week, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January next year, and then maybe a harvest. Listen, long stretches of silence and darkness. Pastor Todd, when you was doing time, seed, Monday, Tuesday, that's annoying to me. It's annoying to me, but you know what else? It's necessary. The harvest is inevitable, even when the growth is invisible. Come on, man. You better catch that. Your harvest is inevitable, even though the growth may be invisible, because it's hidden in Chronos. And so God gives encouragement to all of those who are looking at Chronos, who are looking at a seed, and you've got a word, and it's been taking weeks and months and years, and it seems unproductive. And he says, I want you to come over to my time zone where I'm already doing stuff all around you, and I want you to learn how to develop patient perseverance as you wait on the promise to show up in your life. I want you to learn how to trust me in Chronos, and I want you to learn how to recognize the Kairos. See, we miss God moments because we don't know what we're looking for, and we miss Kairos because it's dressed like Chronos, and we miss the tree because it's dressed like a seed, and we miss the miraculous because sometimes it's dressed like the mundane. We miss our moments because it doesn't. You're asking God to give you an oak tree, and he gave you an acorn. And that's frustrating because I want my faith built now. I want the thing done now. But if he gave it to you, understand, everything that he did on this earth, he did in seed form so that it could reproduce itself. If he just planted a tree with no seeds, how would it reproduce itself?
Right. That's good.
If you go home today and you take an apple and you cut that apple into fours, you're going to see seeds. Do you know that those seeds represent more apples?
Yeah.
You only had one apple, but in it was many seeds. Why? So that you couldn't just feed yourself for a snack for one day, but you could plant a tree and feed yourself for the rest. You're missing me, my God. You're looking for it to come in final form, and God said, if I gave it to you in final form, it couldn't keep reproducing for you. So I'm going to give it to you in seed time, so that every time you go and pray and every time you sow, I'm not going to say it's going to happen instantly, but every time you sow, your harvest will be inevitable, and it will come back up. It will come back up. And God says, I want you to know that when I sent my spirit and open up the heavens through the work of my son, guess what I did? I put every moment back on the market for you to redeem and to turn into a God moment, so you don't have to wait for Kairos to come. You can create Kairos because God is working in you all the time and around you, even when you can't see him. God has given his children the ability to create Kairos, and you don't have to wait for God to give you a good parking spot at the mall this week so you can say, well, bless the Lord, it's a good day, it's a good day. I guess God's smiling on me. No, you may park all the way out there on Slide Road and have to walk up to the Dillards, but while I'm walking across the lot, I might as well pray about my situation in my life and bring Kairos into my Chronos. Come on, somebody. If you know where to look, you'll know how to respond and you'll know how to recognize it. But you got to know where to look. So my job is to recognize and respond, because if you miss the moment, you might miss a miracle. If you wait for God, this is my favorite point, watch this. If you wait for God to show you every little thing that he has called you to do, you might miss the moment you're praying for by waiting for it. I'm gonna say that again, because Cody, that's gonna mess up with your theology real bad. You're gonna text me on Monday and tell me how mad you still are over that one statement. If you wait for God to show you every little thing he has called you to do, you might miss the moment you're praying for by waiting for it. Why are you waiting when you've already been commissioned? I'm waiting for a sign. You've already given us. Should I go witness to my neighbor? No, don't do that. That's the devil telling you. Do you really need to pray? Get your butt out your house, walk across the street, and witness to your neighbor. Yeah. Well, the Lord hasn't called me to. Yes, read the book. It's in there. Most of you are praying about moving on what God has already spoken. And you're missing your moment. Some of you are missing your moment being stuck in bitterness. Some of you are missing your moment because what the last church or the last pastor or maybe even this pastor did to you. If God's so good, then this way. Nobody has ever hurt more than Jesus did, and you know who did it to him? The church. And he still gave his life for her. How dare you say, well, I'm hurt, I got church hurt. Shut up. Everybody been hurt in church. Especially if you grew up in Spanish church. Them ladies is mean at the Mexican church. They'll pinch that fat underneath your arm. Y'all ain't never been to Spanish church? And if you got gum, they'll walk up to you. You want me to spit my gum in your hand? Lady, you nasty. And if you act up in church, boy, you don't act up at Spanish church, they will snack you. Grandma, take off her chunk. Yes, Lord, go on, Jesus. Do the work and put it back on. Listen to me. Some of you are waiting. Well, Pastor, if it was really God, then you would ask me to serve. Hey, y'all want to serve? See, I'm asking. Well, I need you to come by my house. You're going to be dead and buried before I come by your house. I don't have time to go by 2,500 houses. And if it's really God, I shouldn't have to beg you to do it anyway. Don't nobody beg me to preach on Sunday. How many of y'all called me? Hey, I hope you show up. Don't forget to show up. Pastor, don't forget, it's your Sunday. Pastor Todd, you dress yourself and you get to church. Nobody, why? Because there's a fire shut up in my bones. You don't got to wonder if I'm ready. I stay ready, so I ain't got to get ready, baby. I'm ready. I'm going to preach Friday night in Houston, Sealy, Texas. Then I'm going to fly back on Saturday and preach here on Sunday. Why I say, can you stay on Sunday and preach at y'all's church, our church? I said, no, because I like my church. I'm just real honest, and I don't want to go to my church. I like my people. Why are you praying about something that God has already commissioned you to do? Let me hurry up. Do you know when you sow in the soil, what can you see once you put that seed in the soil? Nothing, right? Isn't that encouraging? Let me encourage you. Plant that seed. What am I going to see? Nothing. Can I give you something else that would get you excited? You know what God will show you sometimes that he's with you? Nothing. Sometimes God won't show you nothing. And you know why he doesn't show you nothing, Lance? You know why? Because he doesn't want you to trust in the seed. He wants you to trust in him. See, if the seed popped right back up, you wouldn't need God. I'm going to wait for y'all to get that. Huh? If your if your cabinets was already filled with food every week, well, you wouldn't have to be worried about where your breakfast was going to come from. Sometimes God will put you in a place where all you got is your faith. And you have a standing appointment anytime you want to sit right down next to God in his presence and say, God, I need you. I need a Kairos moment right now. You have a standing invitation to open up your Bible or to turn on your worship and say, God, I need a word right now. I don't feel it like I can make it, and you may not feel anything, or you might not have your name on it. But guess what? If the Spirit of God is with you, I'm going to make this moment a God moment. I'm going to create a Kairos moment. I'm not waiting for God to break through. I'm going to break through. How? By the power of the Holy Spirit. If you want a God moment, make it a God moment. If you want him to speak to you, open up his word and seek him. And every moment is a God moment. He was there in the beginning, and he will be there when you get to the end. When God is in it, he is always in it. And every moment has the potential to be a miracle if you will invite him into that situation. God might not sit down next to you, but anytime you choose to, you can sit down next to him. See, before Jesus in the Old Testament, they didn't have what we have. They had something called a visitation. We don't have that problem. We have something called a habitation. You know the difference between visitation and habitation? Visitation is they just stop off by your house. Habitation, they open up their suitcase and they ain't leaving. That's why I always tell everybody, well, hey, can we stay at your house? I said, no, it's a good hotel right here in Lubbock. Y'all might try to live up in this mud. Y'all don't have family members try to stay with y'all? Like, I will pay for y'all's room. Go on down there. There's room for you at the end, bless God. You got a chance for a habitation. Let me close with this. Ephesians 5:16 says, making the most of every opportunity because the days are evil. Do I really need to tell y'all how evil this is right now? I mean, we just had a FedEx driver kill a 7-year-old, rape and kill a 7-year-old. And they asked him why he did it. Did you hear his answer? This is his answer. I want you to think about how demonic this is. He said, I just wanted to see what it would feel like. Now do you understand why it says making the most of every opportunity because these days are evil? Are you catching it? In the King James, it would say redeeming the times. You know what it means? It means you can't make more, but you can buy back what's in front of you.
Come on, that's good.
Listen, I hear a ton of messages, and in those messages, they say you got to make more time. You got to fit more in. And so what happens to church people? We begin to live in a state of constant emergency, but the spirit of emergency is the enemy of divine opportunity. Gosh, that's a good word. Thank you, Jesus. The spirit of emergency is the enemy of divine opportunity, because God didn't put you here just to count the days and see how much junk you could fit into every day. He put you here so you could see how much God you could get out of all the moments that he has put you in. But you have to buy it back, because the devil wants to kill, steal, and destroy. And he wants to steal the moment that you have to pour into your kids. He wants to steal it, and you have to buy it back. Every moment is on the market, and guess what? Jesus has already paid the price in order for you to buy back what the enemy has stolen for you. Come on, everybody say amen. And now you realize that there is more than a moment than you have the ability to see with your natural eyes. You got to buy it back. And we may miss the moment because we despise the mundane. If I only had more Chronos, listen to me, you don't get more Chronos. What you get is to make the most out of Chronos, thereby turning every Chronos moment into a Kairos moment. And you know what will happen? You will reap if you don't give up. You will reap if you don't give up in frustration. You will reap if you don't give up in despair. Sometimes we don't recognize Kairos because it looks like Chronos. Sometimes we don't recognize the divine opportunities with our children because it looks like a science project. It looked like homework. You thought it was homework. That's all it could be. Or you could say, God, why don't you come sit with us at this table while we do this project? Instead of wishing you had somebody else's marriage, why don't you start investing in your marriage? Because whatever you sow is what you're going to reap. Maybe your husband or your wife can't get any better because all you do is tell them how sorry they are. You prophesy, you ain't nothing. You just like your daddy. You just like your mama. Well, how is he ever going to get better? You've been prophesying curses over him all day. And maybe you've got years invested in your marriage telling your husband what he can't do, so now he doesn't know what he can do. Same for your wife. Maybe she can't achieve. Well, my mama didn't do it like that. Well, you're not married to your mama. Constantly comparing. And you wonder why nothing changes. It doesn't change because you have life and death in the power of your tongue. And rather than speaking life, you've come in an agreement with everything that's broke, busted, and disgusted. There are some of you in this room that you are the way you are because somebody said, you're just like your daddy. You're going to be just like him. Your daddy was a drunk, you're going to be a drunk. Your mama was this, that's how you're going to be just like your mama wasn't worth nothing and you ain't going to be worth nothing. Your family was always poor, you're always going to be poor. The only problem with that is the Word of God. The Word of God has the final say over my life, not what some stupid people decided to say to me. And you know why they are talking to you like that? Because they are just as broken as you are. And hurt people hurt people. And that's why we got to create Kairos time. So I don't know where you've been and I don't know what you've done. None of that matters, right? None of it matters. We've got to make up with what I get to do today. And how arrogant of us to say, well, I'll do it tomorrow. Jesus even talks about that in the Bible. He said, you're going to do this and this and this tomorrow. And he says, you don't even know if you're going to wake up tomorrow. Don't we do it all the time, don't we? I bet some of you already, okay, on Monday we got to do this, and on Tuesday we're going to do. How do you even know you're going to be there Tuesday? How arrogant of you. So you know what I've trained my mouth to do? And if you run with me, you'll see this. I say, man, God, if it's your will, this is what I'm going to get to do Monday and Tuesday. But if not, let me suck every moment out of this day that I can get. So when they close that box, you ever notice when you get through playing the game, whether you play Monopoly, whatever game you play, you ever notice when the game's over, you put everything back in the box? When this life is over, every one of us are going to go in a box. Unless the rapture comes. And Jesus takes us out. But if not, we're going to go in a box. How well did you play that game? How much time did you suck out of the time that you had? And how much time are you wasting being bitter? How many of you are here and you're wasting time being angry? And you'll wait till the funeral. Man, I wish I would have made that call. If I'd have known it was going to be their last day. How many of you here be honest and say you went to a funeral and you left there wishing you would have had a conversation before that day? Me too. Let's not do that anymore. Let's not wait to get to heaven and wonder if we're going to have rewards. You can decide right now what you're going to get when you get to heaven. You're going to get rewards. Did you know that? You get rewards in heaven. You get crowns. How sad if all you get is a hat rack where a crown could have been. But you missed your moment because you was just so worried about being right that you wouldn't do what was right. You were more worried about them. And let me just tell you something. The person that's hurt you, the person that's offended you, here's what stinks. I'm going to give you something. You're going to be mad at your preacher. Here's what stinks. They already forgot. Because if they would have remembered, a decent thing would have been to come back and make it right. But I can't help what they did. Listen to me. I can't help what this world does to me. But I can control the response of what I do with what they've done to me. And if I listen, and I'm through, I'm giving the altar call. If I let what's been done to me affect what God's called me to be, then I am saying that there is somebody greater than God that's in control of my life. I will not let what you've done to me change what God has called me to be, no matter what it costs me. No matter what it costs me. I'm not saying your trauma's not real. I'm not saying your pain's not real. I'm just saying, how many moments do you really have left? I don't know. I may be gone tomorrow. Some of you I may not see next Sunday. Some of you I may be doing your services next Sunday. Some of y'all may be coming to my service. Y'all come, bring barbecue. Wear red and black. They're going to burn me anyway. I don't think I'll have a casket. It's just going to be a big vase. A big plant. But whenever that is, when they put me in that box, Cody, can I tell you something? I'm not going to die old. I'm going to die empty. Empty, baby. So that's why I preach all three services. That's why my clothes is back there drying right now. And that's why I'm nasty right now. Because I preach every service like I might be my last service. Because one day I'm not going to do this no more. And I want to make sure that when I get there, the Lord says, thank you for stewarding the gift I gave you with the very best ability that you could. I want to hear that. I hope you do too. I hope you do too. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to bow our heads. We're going to ask the Holy Spirit, what are you saying to me this morning, God? Those tears that are running down your face, those aren't there by accident. Don't miss your moment this morning. Don't miss your Kairos moment because of pride. Don't miss it because of shame, bitterness, guilt, anger. Don't miss your moment, right? This moment may change the trajectory of your life forever. Forever. So Holy Spirit, what are you saying to us today? Maybe you're here and nobody's looking around because it's not your business and you can't help them because you ain't God. God don't need no help. So quit being nosy. You're here and you'll say, Pastor Todd, I'm stuck in a moment because of anger, bitterness, or hurt, or trauma, and I've been stuck. If that's you, let me see your hand. Yeah. Okay, there's no shame to that. There's no shame to that. How many are here and you say, man, I haven't moved in what God's called me to do because I got hurt by a church or I got hurt by a leader? If that's you, let me see your hand. Yeah, okay. God wants to redeem that today. And I don't want you to know this. I'm a leader that can fail too. And I'm not trying to set you up for failure, but God has never failed anybody in this room. You raised your hand, or if you need prayer for anything, maybe I preached about it, maybe I didn't preach about it. You just need prayer. As they begin to sing this song, I want you to come. And here's what I found out this morning in the second service. 2 people got up, and when they obeyed God, several more came because somebody was willing to say, I don't care what anybody thinks. I don't want to miss my Kairos moment with God today. So as they lead us in this song, if you need prayer, I want you to come.